Welcome back to the Capes and Tights podcast right here on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. Once again, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at Galactic Comics and Collectibles at 547 Hammond Street in Bangor, Maine. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, all those places. But this episode, we welcome Paul Eaton, the proprietor and owner of Galactic Comics and Collectibles, to chat the 50th anniversary of Jaws, which happened this past summer. Finally getting around to watching the film over again and talking about discussing the legacy and the impact and the cultural and pop cultural impact of the film from 1975. But before you listen to this episode where we discuss the movie of Jaws, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, all those places. You can also rate, review, subscribe over on Apple or Spotify or wherever you find your podcast. You can also find us over on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And as always, you can visit capesandtights.com for so much more. But this is Paul Eaton, comic book retailer, talking Jaws and the 50th anniversary of the feature film. Enjoy, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast, Paul. I realize that when I say let's talk Jaws, I just like cut you off. We're done.
Right.
The pleasantries are over. We're now into business mode here.
It's time to talk Jaws. Serious business. People being eaten by sharks.
You know what's funny? You start off that way. I think it's like 4 people, isn't it? I didn't count it.
Let's see. One,
the girl at the very beginning.
2.
Yeah.
The guy in the boat, the kid, and then the guy, the actual fisherman.
So that's 4. So maybe 5. And then Quint.
And then 5 with Quinn. So, yeah.
Think about a grand scheme of things. The shark itself is not that deadly.
No.
it's the fear of what it could do.
What it could do,
yeah. I mean, obviously 5 people getting killed by a great white shark is actually super deadly in the world of
the grand
sharks.
Scheme of things, yeah.
But I'm thinking to myself, you think about the horror film people. This is a horror film, okay? Which is always, it took me a long time to justify Jaws as a horror film in my mind. It's not your stereotypical what you see for horror films now. Yeah. The most of the time of a horror film, it's the killer, for example, like a serial killer or some sort of murderer, is a person or a being or a creature of some sort. It's not an animal. It's not very many, it's not Cocaine Bear here. You know what I mean? It's not this bear. So to me, it took me a while, just it does make sense. It is a horror film. It's a sci-fi, not sci-fi, it's a thriller. Horror.
It's a thriller. It's an adventure story. I mean, that's why I think that's why I love Jaws so much, because it hits so many things. It checks off so many boxes. Because the quest of them out there, chasing the shark is amazing, and the stories of this movie are fantastic.
And that's part of the reason why it's lasted 50 years.
Horror, Jaws isn't keeping up with Jason and Freddy and the rest.
Well, I sat down. We sat down.
Way more people died in Cloud in the Cornfield. One of our favorites.
I'm 40 and I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 next year, or in May. But I'm getting older. I have 2 young kids, right? They run me ragged. They go to bed. So Taylor and I don't stay up too late, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was like, hey, a lot of these movies I watch on my own, that we do, I do, or sometimes she'll pop in and out or whatever. So but it's we're gonna watch Jaws again. She's like, she hadn't seen it for a while because I probably introduced it to her, or I watched it together 7 years ago. But let's watch it again. And so I put it on TV. We watched it in 2 parts because we got tired and wanted to go to bed. But we rewatched it. But she rewatched it. If I sat down and said, "Hey, let's watch XYZ horror film," in all likelihood, she'd skip it. She said, "I'm all set. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do something else." So to me, that's why it's that borderline, or at least an entry film horror genre type thing, because it's also 1975, so it's different. There is a different level of horror than your Jason, your Freddy, all those movies that came out, over those span of years.
Your slasher film stuff
are not Terrifier.
Right.
If that makes any sense. It's it is a more approachable horror back in the day than it is now. But yeah, to me, it's one of those things that it meets so many different genres. And I mean, that's why it's lasted 50 years of success.
Probably being relevant. Liz and I watch this every summer, just like we watch certain Christmas movies every Christmas. Every summer, it's either around our anniversary or sometimes we're getting those really kick into summer vibes, and we gotta watch Jaws.
Yeah,
Jaws happens every year now.
It's So we're celebrating 50 years. It just celebrated 50 years. And
Yep.
so I was like, oh, let's do it. We did 40 years of Back to the Future. And so I was like,
Yeah.
wow, we don't do 50 years of another anniversary movie. And then I backtracked on that. I was like, you know what? It's 50 years. Let's do it. This is a big one. And so,
Yeah.
but with this, I also put together a list of films, by the way, to do next year, being 2026. I'm gonna pull that up really quickly.
Do we have more anniversaries next year?
There's more anniversaries, and I thought there's some of them that might actually. So before we get too far into it, so one of the things I thought about, which is crazy to think about, if we do in January, Deadpool is 10 years old.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
2016 it came out.
Wow.
Sorry, we did it in February. But like Twister, the movie Twister's 30 years old next year.
Wow.
Independence Day is 40 years old next year. Sorry, 30 years old as well.
That'll be fun to watch.
Stand By Me is 40 years old next year.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
See, a Stephen King movie would be great. And then I thought about this was a great one in November. Rocky is 50.
Ooh,
the first Rocky film. So yeah. So those are all kind of cool. And then I thought, oh, so next year we'll do Supergirl because the Supergirl movie's coming out. But that's just on the list thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like there's the anniversary. So I thought, why skip 2025 when this is a massive film? It's literally one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I would say it's my top 5 too. Yeah,
it is my favorite horror movie of all time. This movie eclipses so much, and it's Steven Spielberg, early Steven Spielberg. I mean, he had movies before this, but this is early Steven Spielberg.
This was like make or break, really.
Yeah, oh yeah. He thought during making this movie that he wasn't gonna make it. Like he thought at the point when he was making this movie, because let's be honest, people, Jaws had a $4 million budget in 1975. You probably looked it up? Do you know how much it was made for?
Wasn't it like $8 million?
$9 million.
$9 million. Yeah, he went
over double the budget. And so his mindset is like, he's going to make this movie. They're going to do it. But with his directing and all this stuff and the producers that are around him, he's not going to get another job in Hollywood anytime soon because
fired. He's going to be blacklisted.
They may not be able to finish the movie. And they're way over budget.
Yeah.
And so come to find out that didn't go that way, Paul. I don't know if you've known, but he's gone on to make many amazing films.
He seems like he's a little more famous.
He's made it.
I might be.
And so but I think also being from New England's huge for us. I think that's another reason why it probably resonates.
Yeah, I think
that's
another reason it hits home, right?
I mean, I was born in Massachusetts, so not near this, but like I was at least born in the state of Massachusetts. It was filmed in Massachusetts, which is freaking crazy because
that's the budget
that does not happen nowadays.
Most of the budget problems is the fact that they filmed it. None of them had experience filming on location, and they're filming on location, and they didn't take into account sun, wind, drift, ocean currents, all the things that go into making this movie about a shark in the ocean. So constantly like, well, we had to write today off, or we wasted the entire day of filming time that would have had of sunlight because something happened. They lost Bruce the shark.
Yeah.
They lost Bruce once.
They also were forced to fast forward filming. So this movie, obviously, if anybody doesn't know and you live in a closet, there's a closet back here. If you live in a closet and you don't know anything, it's based on the book by Peter Benchley that was released a few years earlier than this release. So it's not like, which is always fascinates me when we talk about adaptations of things nowadays, and we're talking about, it's Fantastic Four, which was created in the 1960s, and here we're getting this movie coming out. That this happened, and same with Turtles. I mean, Turtles, the first Ninja Turtles comic book came out 4 years prior to the movie coming out. 86, 86, 85.
I thought it was 84.
Whatever, 6 years. But what I'm saying is, it seems like it should have been longer because we see comics get adapted and they take forever to have it happen. And so seeing that like they were basically adapting this film when the book hit the shelves, and the studio was like, we need to come up with this next summer because if we don't, we're gonna miss the hype of the book. And we need this promotion.
Yeah.
And so they're forced into faster filming. They wanted to use this animatronic shark named Bruce that just didn't work at times. Like it just
most of the time.
Like they said, oh, look at this, it's gonna breach, and the tail would come up first and all this shit. So like it didn't go well for them. But maybe that's the sign, Paul. At the very beginning of this, like fast forwarding it, over budget, things not going the way you want it to be going, shooting on set, all that stuff was probably like a foreshadowing to this movie's going to be good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, in the moment, they probably didn't see that, but it's like all these things went against it. The odds were against this film to even make it. And to the point where now in 19 70s. So from 75 when the movie was released to 79. So as before the calendar turned to 80, it made $480 million on a $9 million budget. Or
I guess so that $9 million spend, the $4 million budget, I think they got their return on it. I mean, it had an entire ride at Universal for decades.
Which had the actual Orca boat, which is badass. That boat at Universal was the Orca from the film.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that was on the actual Orca. I didn't even realize that.
It was the actual Orca because Steven Spielberg said he used to go to the set every once in a while when he was there. He'd go there and he'd walk out to the thing and he'd sit down and he'd sit on the boat and he'd cry. And he'd say he'd cry not because he's sad or anything like that, but just like it's just he can't believe he did it kind of thing. And he's sitting in this boat and overwhelming. And he spent a lot of time in that boat. It's not like it's crazy. But yeah, 1975, $9 million, $5 million. I mean, it's obviously big money nowadays.
A lot of money back then.
Yeah. And so, but $480 million. I mean, the end of the year of that year, international, it was like 200 and something million dollars for Jaws, and the next highest grossing film was like 100 million. So you're talking like an 100. That's double. You're talking that if someone made $1 billion on a movie in 2025, the next highest film would have to be 500 million. That is absolutely asinine to think that anything would be in between the two of them. Like there's it's insane. And so the movie made so much. People were going to waiting in line and wanting to see this film. And I think it's a mixture of a couple things. I feel like it's the summertime. The Jaws itself, the trailer probably did pretty well for it. The poster itself was phenomenal, which actually is funny because I didn't realize this until I watched a small documentary on this, Paul, or the new documentary. I don't know. You should see it. It's I don't know if you've seen it, but it's 50 years in the making. It's on the Blu-ray for the 4K of Jaws, but I think you can get it online somewhere too. But they talked about how that the film poster was actually the paperback release cover. So the paperback release of Peter Benchley's book had that cover painted with the shark coming straight up. Yeah. And then they took it and made it the movie poster because people liked it so much and it was amazing. But the first rendition of it looked like a big penis coming out of the water because there was no teeth on the shark. It just looked like this very phallic shark coming up the top. Like you need to make it more fierce than that.
Yeah, that's not a great look.
So it's an iconic cover. I think that alone probably brought people in, like this person swimming across the top. And that scene is basically the first 10 minutes in the movie.
Yeah. It's crazy that Jaws, this simple one word, gets right to it. And the amount, reading the novel, the amount of ideas he'd had and like friends and all this, and the list of titles were just bad. They were all like, I can't imagine. It's almost like the whole thing wouldn't have succeeded if they hadn't just gone with Jaws.
Yep.
Just a simple.
I think it's
draws you in. It gets you.
And then people were like, what does it mean?
From deep below, the murder, the death on the island, or all these like weird titles. I was like, that I probably never would have even looked at this book or the movie.
Yeah, and people are like, what does it mean?
Like iconic, and it's
like what does it mean? You're like, I don't know. It just sounds cool. Jaws.
It just sounds cool. Yeah. Is the shark named Jaws? No, not really. It's just that's the whole thing. Yeah, it's perfect.
I mean, it's better than the later on a book and movie called Meg.
Right. Yeah.
But it's that Jaws. So it's the same thing I think about things like Something's Killing the Children. I don't think that. I mean, the fantastic series. Anybody's not read Something's Killing the Children, read Something's Killing the Children, by James Tynion. But the name does it wonders.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that to me is like one of those things that's naming something.
Something is killing children. What is it?
Breaking news. I'm working on a outline and an idea for a comic book. So one of the things I go into, I have a bunch of names going down too, and it's one of those. It doesn't like I need it to be. I want it to have the impact, either one word impact like this. Yeah. Like so here's back here if anybody's watching. I have the feral variant by Scotty Young, which is a dog going up to get a fish, or is it? Yeah, it's a dog, right?
Yeah, it's a dog.
It's a dog. It's weird. Feral's about cats, isn't it?
That's okay.
But get a little tiny fish, and it's the iconic cover of that thing. But Feral is another one. Feral, great name, great like a succinct name. Yep. Jaws, Stray Dogs. Those are all like you want to. But Nail Biter is another one. Like you're like, what the heck is it all about? What's it all about? But so I want that title. And Something's Killing the Children. You're like, what the hell is this book about? And I need to read it. And so Jaws, I think, was the same thing. It was just like the simple, you can put big block letter font on the front of the cover.
It's funny because now, if you say Jaws,
yes,
rather than thinking about the anatomy, the piece of it, that's the first image.
Yeah.
The first image is that cover, is that movie poster, is that shark coming up. That's the first thing I think of before I ever think of anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is like ingrained in you.
So it's based on the book. Okay. And the cover, again, brought over, which is really cool because nowadays you see the opposite. I think I read it last summer, but I read it recently, but it's the opposite of what you normally see now too. You see like The Long Walk from Stephen King's coming out in theaters really soon, and the new paperback book of that is the poster from the movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like they take it and they put movie poster things. I have a
never a big fan of that either.
Clown in the Cornfield.
I don't even know why, but I'm not a big fan of that.
It's funny because I thought the same thing. I don't like it, and then I asked an author, and they love it because then they know it's been to the next thing. It's pulling more readers in. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but I've got a Clown in the Cornfield over there, the paperback of the cover of the movies.
I will say the Clown in the Cornfield movie cover that then became the book cover is badass though.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is badass. It's funny that like the movie cover, I don't know, you see it, then so it's the book.
Well, it's like you see a picture on the front.
I'd always rather go hunt down one of the first prints of the book that doesn't have that as the cover.
Yep. Well, I mean, think about it, because you have like the cover of Clown in the Cornfield works as it's in a mask, so it doesn't really matter. But like The Long Walk, for example, you're seeing this cover of actors that weren't even born by the time the book was actually made.
Or don't, when you actually get down to it, don't look like the characters described in the book.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you cast Tom Hanks, but the character looks nothing like Tom Hanks, you can't help but read it picturing him while that's not what the character's described. I got for whatever reason, so I had seen oh my god, it's a Matthew McConaughey movie where he's out in the desert, Sahara, which is based. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Sahara's it's got that one. I mean, he's been in a couple movies that have.
So that's based
but he was in Sahara. If that makes any sense.
It's based on a Clive Cussler book with his character Dirk Pitt. So I didn't ever realize the correlation until I was halfway through the first Dirk Pitt novel I read, and somebody was like, "Oh, you know that Sahara movie?" And I was like, "What?" But now I can't stop picturing Dirk Pitt as Matthew McConaughey, even though he looks nothing like him.
Yeah.
Every time they describe him as being like dark haired, blah, blah, but I start picturing Matthew McConaughey and the way he talks and all that as Dirk Pitt, and I can't stop.
Which is funny. They don't do the opposite. They don't do that in comics. Like, you don't see a graphic novel that's been adapted that the cover of the graphic novel is the movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't see.
A couple times they have.
But rarely.
Sweet Tooth they did.
Yeah.
A few of them they've released later with that, like, re-release of the cover.
But that looks like similar. Because what they do is they end up adapting it so much. It's like seeing a movie that has like 5 characters in it. They decide, or a book has 5 characters in it, but the movie decided to only go with 4. But the cover of the book has the 5 characters in it. And you're it's drop one of them up. And so it's weird. But this did the opposite, Paul. Like, this took the paperback release, it being so successful, and even put it as the movie poster because they knew they wanted to connect the two of those together.
Well, here I am, however, 50 years later, buying the book and reading it because. I finally was like, I gotta read this book.
I have a first printing. It's just hidden. I can't get to it. It's over there. It's somewhere. It's no dust jacket, which is part of the benefit to the old ones is the dust jacket. There's no dust jacket, so it's a dust jacketless first edition, but it is the first edition. It's got a little Jaws, a little fish shark thing on the end, and I don't read it. It just sits there because there's certain books. So there's certain books.
That would be something if you could have a way to get an autograph. It would be cool to get autograph. That's your piece.
Well, did you see Joe Hill? So Joe Hill loves this book, loves the movie, loves everything about Jaws, horror writer, so on and so forth. But if anybody knows Joe Hill, he's from Maine, and he's I'd say friend of the podcast, but he hasn't been on yet, so I say yet Paul,
how many he's listening to this, right?
Yeah, right. And so he posted a picture of it a while.
First time member.
He posted a picture of it a while ago on his Instagram. It was so funny that his wife bought him a first edition signed copy of the book. The problem is that Peter Benchley's dead. And so you can't get it signed now. We could buy a signed copy. The funny thing is Joe's name is Joe, right?
Yeah.
So he goes, "Oh, my wife bought me a personalized copy," and it was to Joe. I'm like, how the hell? I'm like, wait a second. She bought a used copy that was to Joe. I'm like, that makes sense. It doesn't say to Joe Hill.
Honestly, that's where like the value of it Like
he probably got it for cheaper because it says to
you and
Joe
I would be like,
it.
well, I got this cool book. It's signed to Joe, but it's cool.
But I mean, like, I guess like
that
just
happened in here
too,
once.
but Paul would happen. Paul would work. It would work for you. Yeah.
Like it happened in here once where a guy had a She-Hulk collection that had gotten ruined. It all like they had a house fire. He lost his comic collection, and a guy wanted to sell me this autographed She-Hulk like famous cover, but it was signed to him, to Peter.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm like, yeah, to the guy, I was like, yeah, I just got this collection coming through, but it's signed to Peter. And he's like, but that's me. He's like, I want it. He's like, I want it even more now. I'm like, thank God I somehow managed to make a connection.
Well, that's what I need. If I ever decide that, most of my stuff is like a lot of it's personal. There is personalized. It says to Justin on or whatever. But I'm like, to me, because I'm not going to sell it. But if ever there's a hard up or I passed away and I need to get rid of my collection for some reason, I'm like, just find someone named Justin. It's not. I wouldn't say it's that hard. It's not like I have this really weird, obscure name or obscure spelling. But it's one of those things. I mean, I have a Larry Bird autograph that's to Jack. It's not to me. It's not personalized to me, but it's still a Larry Bird autograph. I mean, like it's still.
Yeah, I always, if it's to my personal collection and I'm considering that investment piece later on, that when I pass
different. Yeah.
I always try to not get them personalized. But we have stuff in here now that's being signed to the store.
Yeah.
We have a Mark Bagley signed print that's signed to Galactic Comics. All that. Well, we have an entire wall signed.
I think they didn't steal the wall when you get your thing broken into.
Yeah.
No, like it says to Justin, thank you, and it's a little thing. But like that to me is like that's a drawing by Patrick Horvath. Like it's a remark to me. I want this. This is mine. And so that's the difference that we have. Obviously, it's different when I pass and they've got a bunch of shit they can't get rid of because it says all my name on it. That's a different story. But
as your family standing at a comic book somewhere going, I don't need any of this crap. It's all the lady named Justin.
Well, it's when my wife finds out that's worthless, right? Half the shit in here is not worth any money. She's like, "Oh, we got a retirement." I'm like,
so much money on this stuff; it has to be valuable.
I'm like, retirement? I don't know. Are we retiring to a hole in the wall somewhere?
By retiring, you mean living homeless, right?
Yes. Well, to me, it's also so like having that signed book would be cool, like, into Joe and all that stuff. But he also was a screenwriter on this. Peter Benchley. He helped rewrite this.
He did, yeah. He was part of the whole deal.
Him, Peter Gottlieb.
Which I think, as doing both of these, I greatly appreciate the vast difference from the book to the movie, and the fact that both of them can be so enjoyable. And I think it was the perfect screenwriting for the movie because the book has so much excess stuff in it that they left out that would have taken away from that suspense, from that you like the characters in the movie, you care about them, but the ultimate part of the movie is the suspense of the shark coming and appearing and them trying to find it. So you have this level of anxiety created that I don't think would be there if you got into all of the stuff that's in the book, all these side stories. And
the movie's already 2 hours and 4 minutes. I mean, the movie would have to be 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, easily. And the book, honestly, the book isn't that much about the shark.
No, and that's
book is considerably less about the shark.
I'm coming at this a little differently now because I watched it and then I watched the documentary about the film, the 50 years and all that stuff, and some stuff.
So I read quite a bit of documentary stuff about this.
On it. But Peter Benchley said he did it in the book because it needed to find that round audience. He needed to find the love, and he needed to put that love story in there for people that actually want to read this book and see something. But when Spielberg took over the directing and decided to direct this film and so on and so forth, which, by the way, he asked to direct it and they already had someone else attached to it, and that other person had dropped off, and then they called him and he's like, of course I'll do it. But
you imagine?
There's so many things
that
like
alternate universe that we go to.
That
you say Steven Spielberg and they go, who?
That Jaws sucks. No. But he said, he goes, it's more of a story about a police officer on an island who hates the water, and a shark comes to attack everybody, and so on and so forth. That the story is about these just small individual people, but it's really about the shark. And so,
it's about the shark, and
it's actually, in the place, the island almost has its own character as well. But like, and the people that are there. So this love interest story just didn't seem like it would further the movie enough. That it would draw away from the
considerably.
point.
I'll tell you what else too. In the movie, you feel this suspense constantly for these people. That side love story in the book makes you dislike a bunch of the characters. I felt like
you dislike.
And instead, we didn't have to worry about any of that. We didn't have any of that. We had this I feel for each one of these people because you overall like them. Well, like Matt Hooper in the book is kind of a scumbag.
Well, yes,
Matt Hooper in the movie is just an innocent
Well, it's like he's likable. He's not like there's nothing wrong
very
about
likable.
He's got this like charismaticness to him, but he's got this he's smart, but he also likes he wants to help. He cares about these creatures. He cares about the people. Obviously you have Brody who cares about the island and wants this island to care. And then the thing is, the only way it would have worked for the relationship between Hooper and Brody's wife in the movie is if she somehow died at the teeth of the shark,
right?
And so that they both were reeling from this because that would have added some different level to it. But because of the fact in the movie, she's just a real side character. Like she doesn't really need anything. She's
there. She's a mom. She's his wife. She cares about.
It's to put it in perspective. But like, it's about Quint, it's about Matt Hooper, and it's about Brody.
Yep.
Like it's about those three characters and their relationship and their bonding in the boat. All of them different people. Yep. You get the rough and gritty, Quint, who's killed a bunch of sharks and has the shark's teeth. Hooper, who cares about the animals and also the traffic and stuff like that. And then Brody, who's kind of innocent, naive, and timid.
A little bit in all this and wants
and so all of them together on the boat made for a great story out there, and them sharing their stories and scars and drinking together and
oh god, the
all
story
had their own way if they wanted to get the shark.
I read that they had a whole different scene for Quint, and he rewrote it, and they filmed it in one take of the story about him and being
technically 2 takes
in the Navy and all this, and they were like, it was just perfect, all of it, the entire scene.
So
perfect.
Yeah, so what did they have? They had one that they had written. So the screenwriters wrote this whole thing, and then he was like, no, he is ex-military. So he's like, I have actual feeling and story in history with this kind of stuff.
And my God, that scene.
And he also is a writer. I didn't know this. He wrote a play, like a really good popular play. And so he's also a writer. So he's like, let me do this. And so they did it, but one of the things Spielberg said was that he let them drink on the stage on the set. He's like, you're out here, we're doing all this thing, have a few drinks, it's fine. Well, he drank too much one day, and he goes to say this speech, and he couldn't do it. And so they said, scrapped it, and then later that night, like, I don't know, like really late at night, he calls Spielberg on the phone and says, did I just make an ass of myself? So on and so forth. Give me a second chance. And the next day they came back and bam, he nailed it. One take, done. It was amazing. What we see on the screen is what they took, and it was phenomenal. And I think that was a story. The story doesn't have to have a love interest. It didn't have to have. That's not the type of horror story this is. A lot of the other ones, the slasher films, the Final Girl, all that stuff, you need that because he's part of the story itself. This is about a creature who is attacking a local town community and happens to make people scared of going in the water. And so that group out there was phenomenal. And the funny thing is, those 3 characters, Chief Brody's wife, Lorraine Gary, Alan Brody, and then about, what did they say, 4 or 5 other people are actual actors from Hollywood.
Yeah.
There's 8 or 9 people in this entire film that are actually trained actors. The rest of the people, the kids, the people on the beach, the people in the stores, the people on the streets are all from Martha's Vineyard.
That's crazy.
It was just really cool. You couldn't do it nowadays anyway because there's like Screen Guild rights and all that shit, but like to have that be that way, like literally the kids, like the Brody kids in the movie are from Martha's Vineyard. The guy and the girl in the very beginning of the movie when she swims out and gets eaten by the shark, the dude running on the thing was from the island. And actually, what's funny is that he wasn't living on the island. He had moved away, but found out they were filming on the island and flew back to be there for it, and ended up getting that role as the guy, talking to
the guy with the girl,
Brody and so on and so forth, which is always funny.
On the beach do
you remember a story about this? I showed this at OBC one night, late night, thinking, it's supposed to Jaws on, it's Halloween, and I forgot completely that there's a freaking nudity at the beginning. I mean, it's not straight up like in your face nudity,
right? It's like shadowed and dark.
Yeah, but she's topless. She's running topless.
If you got a family. In there,
I'm like, but like once you get past that, because even the kills from the shark are not overly like,
not really
intense.
I mean, the kid could upset some.
I mean, this would scare my 4-year-old from going in the water. He wouldn't go to the pool.
This would probably scare my 9-year-old from going in the water.
But outside of that, it's not like the actual damage that's being done by the shark is actually terrifying. It's the shark itself that's more terrifying.
Yeah. It was.
But yeah,
I don't know. I saw this movie by accident when I was, I'm gonna say around 11. So I I would go to sleepovers at my father's house, and he had like cable and HBO and all that stuff. And like I couldn't sleep, it was unfamiliar. So I would usually end up staying up all night just watching cable. Like because I didn't have cable at home. So it was like this treat, you know. So the movie started, and it doesn't give you this big like Jaws or anything like that. You know, there's no scare. It's just this. So it was on in the background, and I was like half awake. And I started waking up, and then I watched the entire movie through. Like, couldn't. I was like glued to it because that's what this movie does.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks you in with that suspense, with that soundtrack, with like all of the things that it has. The greatest soundtrack ever. You hear that, and you know what it is.
Well, I mean, so you know this. We've talked about this in the shop. The opening scene. First of all, them singing "Kumbaya" or whatever on the beach and seeing all that stuff. It's really kind of go underwater. The camera footage of underwater, which is actual camera footage of actual sharks and things like that. They use that actually in the film. They sent someone to actually take shots of sharks to have them in the film. And they were supposed to show the girl getting eaten. And we talked about this, that the Bruce, the shark, was supposed to come out of the water and eat the girl.
And
it didn't work. And so they just did that. And they found out that was way more suspenseful not seeing it. And like you've talked about, and you mentioned about the pond and seeing it, it was that it kind of ruined it in a sense. Like if there was any bad parts of the movie, that's one of them.
I think it would have been great if the pond scene, you still didn't see him. Maybe you see the fin or whatever.
Yeah.
You still see him.
Finn's fine to me. Finn is fine. Finn is scary.
That Finn's that, like, that's that, like, oh God moment.
It's the tip of the iceberg. You don't know what's beneath the water, but you know something's there.
The first time you ever saw the shark in it was when Brody was throwing the chum overboard. And then the famous, like, you're going to need a bigger boat.
Dude, that scene.
That right there, that would have been the, like, holy shit moment.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, it's too bad that they did have the pond scene. It was great suspense. It was super terrifying. Like the kids out there tricking everybody, and then the damn shark is there, and of course it goes to the pond where Brody's kid is. So
which is obviously watching
all
back
of that was great. But
the foreshadowing there was pretty funny.
Not seen the shark at that stage.
Because I mean, and that's something that people get kind of upset with.
They could have had like the guy fall, like the boat get knocked, the guy fall out, and then just a pool of blood open up in the water. Like that would have done better. And then finally see the shark when Brody's chumming the water.
Brody's chumming, because people do get upset about J.J. Abrams and how he holds the monster to the end and so on and so forth. But in the same sense, it builds so much suspense of not knowing what's attacking and what's coming. Right on the edge. And so I think that was like
Brody being our main character, that would have been the perfect scene for it.
Yeah. Like, but that scene, I'm sorry, I will say it might be one of my favorite scenes in movie history, in cinema history, is that scene where he's chumming and he's throwing the chum in there,
smoking
and all of a sudden you see the Bruce the shark come out and grab the chum. He has the cigarette hanging out, and he just backs up into the cabin and looks to the right a little bit, not at Quint. Quint is doing something down, like just looks off in the distance and says, "You're gonna need a bigger boat," which they talk about. That was just a line written in the movie. It was not like this is going to be the line of the movie.
And it was delivered
because of the way it was delivered and the way it was set up and the way that the scene itself happened. It became a iconic line in film history because of people use it all the time for everything. You're going to need a bigger store. You're going to need a bigger car. It's a thing. But just that moment, and then Quint getting up and being like, "Oh shit," and getting stuff done, like knowing what just happened, like without speaking, knowing that he saw the shark, I think that was.
And then
phenomenal.
the fact that you start getting the like Ahab. Where he's like, he has to get the shark.
Yeah.
When if I was Brody, you're afraid of the water already. You feel like you're not equipped properly. Like, I would have been freaking out.
Yep.
I'm with him. Like, I'd been freaking out and get me the hell out of here. And, get me a bigger... I'd call the Navy at this point, right? Like, I'm not going back out here without a battleship.
I mean, the shark was bigger than the boat. Like, it's how it was. And they saw it, and they swim by, and they saw the 25-footer. And
they'd had that whole thing with, like, Hooper going out before... Yeah. And the boat being like chewed and destroyed when they show up there, which I will say that scene, terrifying jump scare. But when he finds the tooth, but then the severed head like floats in. That was a bit. That scene's always the one scene I'm always like, we could have done without that.
It's
I could
70s.
have done
It's
without that.
prosthetics, yeah.
Like,
And he dropped the shark tooth, which makes sense because it adds to the film plot because he needs to
do you
convince
have the tooth on
mayor.
you? No, I
Yeah.
don't. I dropped it. Like, oh well, then you're
Well,
probably full of crap.
and I think a forgotten person in this film, in part of this film, is the mayor, the guy who is the he's the Thanos of it all. You're doing the wrong thing because you think it's the right thing to do for your town.
Oh,
And so,
every time, Justin, every time I watch this and the little boy gets eaten and the mom stuff, I was like, I would have just decked that mayor. I would have just, oh my God.
But it's not the mayor's
Brody
fault
was doing
because,
the right thing. Brody wanted to shut
is,
everything down, could have saved that little boy's life, but nope. That guy, fine.
I'm not going to get political on this. I'm not going to say any actual people, but it's like politics where people follow people blindly. This woman probably looked going, it's not the mayor's fault. It's the police officer's fault for some weird reason. The mayor's the one that wanted to close the beach and he knew. And so it's his fault and so on and so forth. And so, and then that whole thing, and I get it. He's doing his job, not just to keep his persona alive, but to do the job. He needs to make money because that's what his job is to do. He needs this amount of money. So if there's not
prosperity of the island
fact,
and this and that, but
you kind of go around the facts about whether or not this is an actual thing.
He put people's lives ahead of.
But then when the shark attacks the guy in the pond, and he goes to the hospital, and Brody brings him into the other, around the curtain.
Yeah.
And it says, you're going to sign this now. And he's literally for a loss for words. And he's mumbling
he's shaking
things.
And
he's mumbling I was doing what's best for the town. Like he was going, his mind was broken.
Trying to justify all
And then he says to him and goes, Brody, my kids were on that beach too. First of all, I was like, how old are your fucking kids? You don't look that young, man. But no, but that moment where you're like, he was doing what's best for the town, even with his kids. Potentially being attacked by a shark. And that's what it hit him, was like when the guy got attacked and he saw it and he goes, oh crap, this is it. And he signs the paperwork and so on and so forth. Like that, I think it's overlooked as a scene and overlooked as a part of the movie. He's a hated character. Like no one likes the mayor. But like it was that. And then but that did that, and that twisted. I don't know. I just to me, I'm like, now I feel for this guy. I feel for him in moments where I feel for Thanos in a way where I'm like, you think you're doing what's right. You just have a twisted sense of what you should be doing. Like you want
Thanos with all that power could have just expanded the universe, made food for everybody, done all that. He's like,
listen, it's that mindset. I think that they're same thing. And again, I'm not going to get political, but there's certain politicians who do the same thing in their mindset. They think they know what they're doing is best on left and right. They just think they do, and so they do something specific way without thinking.
In the tunnel vision of it.
Yes. And I think they can't
take their mind off that.
That's what that mayor was doing.
It's the goal I set, and therefore it will be accomplished.
Yes,
and that was just mayor. Like,
if a couple people die and we have a good summer, whatever, it's not the end of the world. We'll deal with it in the fall. And it was like, that's not the case in this situation. What I would have loved also nowadays, which we probably would have gotten, is why Jaws was the way it was.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm glad it's not in this movie because it's not in part of it.
No, because there would have been there would have been a bigger.
But like a sequel would have been awesome. The sequel, actually, number 2 isn't horrible. Okay, people, it's not amazing, but it's not horrible. It's the 3 and the 4 that are really bad, in my opinion.
I couldn't get through 2. I wanted to watch 2 this summer because I was like, I want more of all this after I read the book. And then we started watching 2, and I was like, nah.
Well, I guess the biggest problem with 2 is the fact that it's basically the same story.
It's basically the same story. They've lost the suspense side of it because the sharks there left and right, and it's just. Yeah, but I lost interest real fast.
But if the second movie was a prequel to and it involved Hooper, like looking for sharks and seeing this thing or some sort of twisted thing, and it had like a why is this specific shark attacking humans on the shore when they normally don't? Because the truth of the matter is, if you ask anybody who deals with sharks, most of the time what ends up happening, why people survive shark attacks, is because they bite into you and realize this is not what I want, and they let go.
Yeah.
Do you mean they're not gonna try to eat you because they don't want to eat you. It's they bite into you, they realize, oh, this is not what I want, and they let go.
Sharks that will eat you are the ones that are like smaller, and they're scavengers.
Yeah.
They're the scavenger breed that will eat whatever they find, whatever they come across that they can manage to chew on is what they'll eat.
Yeah.
But the great white, it's
not going to try it. No. And so that's the thing about it. And it's so funny though. What have you watched, Paul, like in your history of you watching films in your 40s now? has scared you from wanting to do a specific, like, to me, I'm like, I don't not want to go trick-or-treating because of Halloween.
Right.
Or I mean, I guess if you watch as a young kid, you probably wouldn't want to fall asleep after watching Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, you might not want to go to sleep, but like, there's not many films that have such an impact.
I always think it'd be great to watch this in like a floating theater.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Like, wouldn't that be an awesome way to watch this thing? Yeah, in the dark.
Oh, like on a beach, like on York Beach or something like that would be phenomenal.
That'd be an amazing way to see this movie.
On a barge.
Yeah.
Like watch it on a barge in the middle of the
floating
waters
and you're
with
like,
you're going the whole movie
out on the dock or something. Like anything like that would be like
at dusk.
The atmosphere of this movie. Yeah, so that's actually, I haven't watched Psycho yet.
Okay.
And I always want to watch Psycho. Like, that's on my to-do list because of being so famous. Mm-hmm. But I remember watching another show where one of the main characters finally watched Psycho, and he was like, "Oh, it didn't bother me." And the guy's like, "Your hair's really greasy. You haven't showered, have you?" And he's like, No, I'm just trying a new French thing where I don't." He's like, "Yeah, right."
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, I was scared shitless from Jurassic Park as a kid. Like, I watched that it's the same idea. I watched that by accident. But I'm not like, oh shit, I'm scared of the dinosaurs. There's no dinosaurs. It's not like there's nothing just walking. A shark exists. The ocean exists. I live in New England. It's not like a crazy thing.
This is a possibility.
And I don't know.
I remember coming out of the theater at Jurassic Park to go to the bathroom and thinking, oh God, I got to look for a velociraptor on my way to the bathroom and be like, wait, this isn't like real. Well, but that was how much effect that movie had. And I feel like I would love to see this movie on the big screen and see that and try to get that. I don't know. I've seen it so many times. I don't know if the suspense would be
it's not there anymore. But Paranormal Activity was like that for me. The first Paranormal Activity I saw with my ex-wife in the theaters. And when we left the theaters at night, it was dark, obviously, and got in the car and someone walked by the back window just to walk to the car. It scared the shit out of me because I'm like, I was like, the suspense was there. I'm like, to me, most of that film,
you got that heightened, like,
most of that film, like you hear a creak in your house, you're like, that movie was real. Like you feel that way. And so Jaws had this impact on people for a long time. There's probably people who still don't swim.
Well, they had to do Peter Benchley and people involved in the movie had to do a bunch of stuff to get people to stop killing sharks.
Yes, because they
don't kill sharks, and they were killing any shark.
Yeah,
and they were like, sharks are not. This is not a legitimate danger to us. Don't go out there killing sharks for this. Yeah, like this is not a legitimate problem, guys. Like, don't go out and do this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the deal. And
that's the impact this movie had. People were so scared by it, which is like impressive. It's incredible to have that kind of impact.
So whether you like the movie or not, the cultural impact of this movie cannot be denied. You have the poster, which has been homaged thousands of times. You have people not wanting to go swimming because of this whole thing. And then you have the music. And so one of the things that the funny thing about it was that John Williams was like, how's this gonna be scary? Dun dun dun. Like, how is that? And then you add it layered on top, and I think it's a great piece of music in soundtrack outside of watching it. Just like put it on it's like, oh, that's cool. It's some stuff from Jaws. And the eeriness behind it and stuff like that. But like watching it overlaid on the screen, so you're seeing the shark tail or the fin swimming, and you hear dun 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 dun. And it's like, oh my God, it's so, how these people, it's my whole thought process on Michael Del Mundo and how sometimes his brain works and how he makes imagery and how he makes he draws these pictures. I'm like, how does John Williams in his head go, this is going to scare the shit out of people and start doing the dun, 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 and it works.
My God, when it started, like, when the scenes where they were like, I think that was one of them, was that they were after dark and they were all drinking and they were tearing that, and then it starts.
Yes.
And then at that point, they'd had a barrel on him or whatever, and that barrel pops, and it's got the lights flashing, and you're like, oh my God, like he's coming for them. The shark's back coming for them is just phenomenal.
To me, I think I did a post. I'll have to look back on it. I'll have to see what's going on here. But I did a post on Cape's website about iconic soundtracks from movies. And I want to say John Williams had like 5 of the 10 that I did or something like that. But like, which makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, he's got a lot of things. And he attached with Spielberg a lot, and did other things.
And I'm sure if you needed that, like, that sound to your movie, he's the person you went to.
Yes. Yeah.
Like when you need Christopher Walken, you get Christopher Walken.
Yes, exactly. And that's, I guess, the other part about it is like Quint and those guys. the only one, Richard Dreyfuss is the only one that really went on. I mean, what's his name? Quint died like 2 years later after this movie came out. So that's one of the reasons why he wasn't in the sequel anyway. And he actually didn't get along with Dreyfuss at all.
Not at all. They said that added to the filming because the two characters weren't supposed to get along. The two actors didn't get along. So there was tension already there that was easy to go off of.
Yeah. So I did a piece in 2022 that was about so Halloween, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Jaws, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Superman, as well as E.T. were all like iconic things. And Jaws is on that because, again, I think there's something to do with that song, that one song. But there's other moments that maybe you don't even notice it, which is great. Because I think theme music is like lettering to me. If you want to compare comics and movies or shows, theme music is like lettering. If you hear it and it stands out to you, then it's probably not great. If you think about it when you're looking for it and you're like, oh, this makes sense. But when you look back and go, yeah, the music was good in that moment. That makes sense.
The Quest songs in this, the like music when they're on the boat, it's daylight and they're chasing the shark down and they've got him in their sights is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like the music to that gets this like heightened adventure, like it's everything. I don't know. Everything in this movie to me just nails it.
Well, I mean, I think if you look at this book, Fierro, when you look at it in your mind, don't you hear the song?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like it's 100%. Like one of those weird things. The same thing when you see a Star Wars thing. You know, when he's actually speaking of Star Wars.
Yeah.
The guy who painted this poster for Jaws also painted Empire Strikes Back poster.
Nice.
And so that's pretty cool. It's like the combination there too as well for pop culture references. But I actually met him in 2015. Was the 40th anniversary. I met him because the guy was at a convention I was at in Massachusetts who had like he had some of the barrels from the movie. He had a bunch of set pieces, and then they brought in this guy who did the poster to do a panel and talk about painting the poster and all that stuff, which is pretty cool. And again, he talked then about the phallicness of the original painting and all that stuff. Yeah, which is pretty funny.
You know what that looks like?
Yes, exactly. Big penis. But yeah, so that's, I think, over the years, it's been, there's a reason why it's such a celebrated 50th anniversary. I mean, there's movies that pass, and you go, oh my God, I can't believe it's 42 years old. And you didn't hear anything about it 2 years ago. And that's because no one really cared about the 40th anniversary of these things. But there's also the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, or whatever it may be, doesn't get as much of a fanfare, in my opinion, because there's so much going on with it. Like, there's no Jaws coming out now.
I mean, there's the other ones, but this is it. No one cares when the anniversary of Jaws 2 and 3 and 4.
No, but the fact that all those Jaws movies came out in such early time in our lives, or earlier, closer to the original film. The fact that there's a Star Wars movie in production now, it loses some of the allure of this specific thing. It's the same thing with Back to the Future. It's like Back to the Future had 3 films, but when we celebrated the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future, is because those films came out in such quick succession that they're past. They're not current. And I think that's why one of the reasons why this is like such a big thing. And plus, I mean, the animatronics of the shark, the practical effect about it, the on-set location, all that stuff has something to do with it
Everything of this. They're never gonna film this movie like this again.
No. I will say
there would be no way. You're not gonna film it now and have it come out.
I actually think nowadays that if they ever were to reboot this, and I don't want them to just because there's no reason to, I like the idea of doing a soft reboot or the continuation sequel reboot that did with Ghostbusters with Back to the Future, because I think it's possible. I think there's a way to say that Marty's kids and all that.
I don't know if the actor who plays Brody's still alive or whatever, but if they had a shark attacking and Brody's like there and he's like, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, number 3 was his kids. Was it 3? 3 was his kids that worked at a SeaWorld where a shark got into, and so they connected it in that way. But I want a reboot for this. If they ever did a reboot as a 10-part miniseries, not as a movie, because you could easily set it up with the whole like getting used to the island and you know, like,
and the characters and getting to know people, and then
the last few episodes of them on the boat and killing the shark and doing all this stuff. That to me would add the suspense to the whole thing.
Get that suspense even longer.
And if you did it on streaming, you could have some more vicious attacks and things like that, and so on and so forth. And you can talk about. I mean, you could do it more in current times. Oh, speaking of current times, I wanted to get this out there really quickly. I was talking to Taylor. I was like, "Isn't it funny watching a movie from 1975 based around a lot of people, and this is based on true events in the sense that there's no sci-fi in this.
Right. There's nothing. Yeah. Right. This could absolutely 100% have happened.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
That you go, man, they didn't get that right. They didn't have that back then.
Right.
And then you're like, wait a second. No, they did, because they filmed this in 1975.
Right.
Or
this
74,
was all,
really.
this was all
so
like
bathing suits they're wearing, or the cars they're driving, or the things they have. And I'm like, they didn't do that back in 1975. And I'm like, wait a second. They wouldn't have put this in the movie if it wasn't, because it's not like they went back to the future and grabbed a cell phone and brought it back. Like, it was just one of those things where I'm like, they didn't do that. And I was like, this is filmed in night. I'm like, oh yeah. Man, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when someone goes, oh, it's only back in the year 2000. That was 25 years ago.
That one hurts. That one hurt. The kid that was in here, the younger, he's an adult. He's going to college. And then we were like joking around, and he's like, yeah, how were the 1900s? And I was like, how? Damn, dude.
First of all, and then it wasn't that long ago, but also was that long ago, if that makes any sense.
In his lifetime, that never took place. There was no 1900s.
But I had a coworker who just celebrated his 50th birthday last week. And so it was funny because he's the oldest person at Orono Brewing Company. But I think it's funny that it's like, this movie came out in 19... He was 50 years old. He's 50 years old.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies that's like... And I guess if you look back at my top favorite movies of all time, right now, my letterbox... I bet
all of mine are in the 70s and 80s.
Well, see, I was trying to think about it. So number one for me is Shawshank Redemption. It's my favorite movie. I think it's perfect in a lot of ways. It's also well filmed. It's a great story, all that stuff. Then Jaws is number 2.
Yep.
Then Seven is number 3. Again, so it fluctuates a lot of it, but like most of the movies, and Scream is in there too. I actually think Scream is one of my favorite. There's something about Scream, but those were all made after I was born. The only movie in that thing that was made before I was born was 1975, which was Jaws. And so, like,
I mean, I've got Ghostbusters. I think was Ghostbusters made in 82? Was that no? That was 84. It was 84. Yeah. I was 2. So yeah, but all of my movies besides Jaws did come out within my lifetime.
Yeah, which is funny because so I have Seven's in there. I have like Ex Machina, which is phenomenal. Fight Club. Those movies are great, but a lot of those movies, again, I might have been young when some of them came out. Like I was born in 86, right. So it's like if I say TMNT was in there, I was only 4 when that movie came out. So it's not like, but it's just kind of funny. This movie is preceding that, before that, 1975, 11 years prior.
It shows how good this movie was and how well it was made, and how well this holds up. I think certain movies of that era do. I think the sci-fi, with the exception obviously of like Star Wars, a lot of the sci-fi stuff is a lot harder.
Well, you have expansive
stuff like Jaws, Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
They were all this is all stuff that can happen. It all took place with events that could occur.
And when you keep it localized, you keep it to the island of Amity, which is Martha's Vineyard filming location. Yeah. And you have it to be this one spot. Yes, they go out to the ocean, but it's like this one small community. So you only have to shoot on location one spot. You're in the ocean or you're on land. It's like this. They're not going to California. They're not trying to be on a spaceship. They're not trying to do all these things. You keep it so small that there's less chance for screw ups or continuity errors.
I mean, Jaws. Like you go to Jaws, you go to Alien. If you want to go sci-fi, it all takes place in the one ship. It doesn't do anything. There's one monster running around. You don't see that often.
Yep.
So you don't run into a lot of problems with the way it appears. And Alien came out, 79, right? Alien's back there.
Yeah.
So you don't run into any issues with that. So that keeps it, because that's a lot of it back then, is them trying to go further than they had the technology to do. So if you could stick with the actual effects and have it come out looking good and lasting the way Jaws did.
Film has 100% practical effects. There's zero special effects.
Yeah, there's no, and that's the thing. Now they would CGI it so much, it wouldn't look right. We just watched the original Jurassic Park movie, which has its scenes that are meh. Most of those scenes that are meh are distant scenes where there's multiple dinosaurs in the background. The stuff of like the T-Rex, which is all practical, and the Velociraptors are all practical, they look great and they're terrifying. Still, to this day, they look great. We watched the third one with whatever this big spiked back thing is, and you can tell that they used like some CGI in it that really wasn't up to par, and it looks like a claymation CGI. It just looks bad. It doesn't the technology wasn't there to justify what they were using, so it doesn't work.
No.
And
And that's part of it. Simple is better.
This was why Jaws is so successful.
I think there's like you have only time you need special effects or practical effects is the Jaws character, or I say character. He's a character, Bruce.
He's a character. He's part of
and then you obviously have the shark that they killed and strung up. Obviously, that's not a real shark.
A real shark.
But like, so there's all those. There's only, and that's the thing that helps it. Helps it. You got the fear of a horror film and the thriller of a thrilling film and the science fiction of the fact that this massive shark is eating people, and you mix them all into one. You make this film, but it's very simple at its base, and I think that is why it did so well in that sense. I think people could relate to the fact that it's based in real life. It's just could happen, like you mentioned. I think you could all, most of us can relate to who live on the ocean or on Eastern or Western, that you relate to the ocean.
Those
or
moments
water
when you're in the water, something bumps you and you're like, what was that?
And so I think all that together, and I think Spielberg did an amazing job for directing it, who didn't actually get nominated for Best Director at the Academy Awards. The film was nominated for Best Film of the Year, but lost to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which, it's pretty phenomenal movie too, but I like this movie better than that, but like it's still... Right. I can understand that at least.
Sure.
And it won like Best Sound. The fact that
Spielberg wasn't even nominated is insane.
Yeah. It won Best Sound thing. They won Best Music, won a couple other things too, but like they won some other things, but like it's pretty crazy that this didn't win or have at least nominated. And he said that. He goes, I wasn't expecting it nominated, but so many people around me were telling me that I should be nominated.
Then when you didn't,
when he didn't get nominated, it was a disappointment. And so I think that's a big thing to him. I think he but again, it's fascinating to me. And honestly, if you look at it, it's number 199 out of 250 on the IMDb top rated movies of all time. 199
makes the list, but how is it not higher than that?
It's 8.1 out of 10. So my favorite movie of all time, Shawshank Redemption, is a 9.2.
Right.
Okay. So, but the 8.1 to 10 is so, I feel like it's so hard to get there. And so I understand some of that, but there is some films in there that I'm like, there's no way that movie's better than this one. No way.
And certain people are going to just dislike, I just plain don't like movies about the ocean. So I don't like Jaws, or I don't like sharks, so I'm just not going to, so you're always going to have some of that. Like it's like watching cooking shows. When they make, if it was me, I'm a judge, and they come up and they serve me shrimp, and I'm like, I don't like shrimp. So I give your dish a lower, and it's like, that's a personal thing. That's
the Untapped of the world of people don't like our beers because it's an IPA.
Yeah, I don't like IPAs. OBC, not that good.
What bothers me, though, is if you put that in a scale of 1 to 100, that's an 81%, right?
Right.
That's not 8. There's no way this movie's an 81 out of 100.
No, it's way better.
Crazy. Rotten Tomatoes.
That it's 199 out of 200. How the hell is it that low?
To me, Rotten Tomatoes is more of a place because there's actual critics that get to do this thing and so on and so forth. So critic rating of Jaws on Rotten Tomatoes is a 97%, which is great. A 50-year-old film, and that many times it's been reviewed, probably a 97. But that would be a 9.7 out of 10 if it was on IMDb, right?
That's right.
Fan-wise is a 91. Again, still to me is great because that's, like I said, Shawshank Redemption, my favorite, would be a 92. This is a 91. So that's great. So it's awesome. And it made $480 million over its lifetime. I think it was also released again this year, I think, in some theaters because of the 50th anniversary and things like that. No question to me, honestly, Paul. And it's a 5-star movie. It's a 5-star movie. There's no question.
Go watch Jaws.
Yeah, it's
go watch Jaws. Go watch Jaws at your local beachfront. Go sit in the water.
We do this. We have 10 years to plan this.
Go watch this at night with your swim trunks on and your little floaty, and just try not to pee in the pool, guys.
Goal for Capes and Tights and Galactic Comics in 2036 or 35. We do a sponsored viewing of this movie.
Yes.
And we could actually do it privately and have it be like no tickets sold, whatever, and not have to get the permission to do it. We could just do it. So we'll figure it out. We have 10 years to figure this out. Just a fun event.
It's like the ones that the radio station does with Jimmy King there. Yeah. You have to win tickets to get here, do whatever, but it's just a fun, crazy thing to do. Yeah, hell yeah.
We have 10 years to plan this, Paul. We'll figure it out.
Here we go. We got to wrap it around Galacticon events and everything else we're doing.
We have 10 years to figure it out. I mean, by the time 10 years from now, Galacticon will run itself, right? We're not going to worry about that.
Yeah, I think that's Sure, that seems legit. Maybe.
But in the meantime, we'll be able to celebrate the anniversaries of some other films next year. It'll be fun. I looked it up. I was like, let me look at this. And it was funny. I'm like, how am I going to figure this out? I'm like, to be honest with you, they're probably going to be the higher grossing films of those years that are actually worth watching. And then I went back and was like, well, actually, technically not all of them would be that, because there are some films like it's the 20th anniversary of one of my favorite comedies of all time, Grandma's Boy. And so like that wasn't a high rate, but it's
right.
You know, so like it's there are some out there that are crazy.
Well, we all have those movies. Like I absolutely love Dirty Work. Yeah. And the amount of people who have no idea when I say Dirty Work, what I'm talking about, like, come on, it's Norm Macdonald. Like, it's phenomenal. This movie's amazing.
Yeah. And so I might actually start planning some of these. Yes. Some of those random movies like this, maybe we'll start reviewing, but we'll be like, oh, that's 10th anniversary is next year. We'll do it next year. That kind of thing.
Well, you know what would be another fun one, too, is if we do that, like, the best recommendation movie, the one that no one's heard of, that I say you've got to watch, and the one you say you got to watch, and we sit there and can do this one for people to go like, oh, I should go watch whatever this movie is. The Adventures of Fort Fairlane.
Oh my God. 5 stars. That's great. Yeah. So it's you just right. And here's the deal: the benefit of the 50th anniversary. You've got a Blu-ray player, got a 4K Blu-ray, 4K TV, whatever. Yep. They did re-release it in a 50th anniversary packaging. Comes with a documentary in it.
I bet that holds up well, because I feel like this movie would still hold up well. I gotta tell you, I watched Terminator going from VHS to Blu-ray, and when you made that jump, it didn't look good.
Well, it's like porn.
Nobody wants to see that.
No.
Everyone's
like, who the hell? Who wants to see someone's like sweaty body? And like it's like one of those things. It was almost better watching it on like scraggly TV when you couldn't actually get the channel. You're trying to get between channels and try to get the naked channel on your TV. I'm like, no one wants to watch 4K porn. And if you do, you really got a problem, man. I'm sorry. I don't want to see what's growing on that fucking 4K porn. Oh God. But Jaws, 50th anniversary. Happy 50th anniversary to Jaws. It was really fun to do that. And again, this year we did the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future, so check that one out. And we did the 50th anniversary of Jaws. And next year we'll do some anniversary films as well as mix in some other films on that too. But yeah, this is great. If you are in the Bangor area, visit Galactic Comics and Collectibles. For stuff. Check their Facebook. They got a little struggle this past weekend, so go in there and support them.
We had our problems this weekend. Your support's appreciated. And Galactic Comics and Collectibles.com relaunching. I'm going to use the word soon. The old one is down. And I'm amazed the amount of people who have notified me. Do you know your website's down? I'm like, you actually look at that thing?
What's the best part about this?
The new one's coming.
Have you ever seen the episode of The Office where Jim's like, what are you talking about? We have a website. And he goes to the website and it says still under construction. There's a guy like doing like this. Like,
it's where we're at. We're at that stage right now. But I promise you, people much smarter than me are working on it.
There you go. See,
it's happening.
It works. It's awesome. So I'm excited. Yeah. And then, coming out we got some more stuff coming up. We're hopefully going to do a band books week thing, talk about some band comic graphic novels, band or challenge.
Band, you got to read it.
Yeah. And my wife's like, that's banned. Where the Sidewalk Ends is banned, Paul.
Yeah, I grew up with that.
I understand there's some books like Kill a Mockingbird and there's some books I don't want them to be banned.
Is a great read.
I don't want them banned. I can see where someone is trying to put but there's other books that I'm like, there's Hop on Pop, like Dr. Seuss. Hop on Pop. So we're gonna get into that. We'll talk about that. We'll do the more of the graphic novel side of stuff because I think there's also that. There's like genderqueer and there's other things, which again, it's artwork. It's a form of expression. People should be able to do this and so on and so forth. But we'll get into that when we do banned books coming up here pretty soon. But yeah, visit Galactic Comics, 547 Hammond Street in Bangor, Maine, and visit their Facebook, all that stuff. Paul, until we talk again, 5 stars, Jaws. 5 stars for 50th anniversary. Works perfect. There we go.
Love it.